Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in to my Instagram TV channel. I'm going to be talking a little bit today about my process for oil painting. So feel free to check out the rest of my account, check out my posts. I do daily time-lapse videos and daily pictures, so I usually have a lot of content posted between line of cut prints, oil painting, gouache paintings, a lot of different things. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about my oil painting process. So this is actually a painting that I was working on that I actually just kind of picked this one out of my drawer. I covered this canvas with a very, very thin layer of oil paint, and typically I tone my canvases with a raw umber or yellow ochre or something like that, a little bit more neutral. I was just playing around with this canvas a long time ago and put on a really, really thin layer of oil paint with kind of like a purpley pinky color, and just pulled it out of the drawer and thought, what the heck, it's not my usual tone color, but I'll go ahead and use it anyway. So I really, really love the way that oil paint is versatile. You can thin it down, you can put it on really thick, and I like being able to thin it down. I use Gamsol just because, I don't know, that's what I've been using. There's probably a lot of other options out there, but that's just the one that I started using, and I've been sticking with it just because it works. And I thin the paint down really, really thin, and I just love how it almost becomes like watercolor. You can almost even just stain the canvas. I remember reading one time about the process of Rothko, how his paint layers were just so unbelievably thin, and they were just basically staining the canvas, and I really, really like that effect. I think I might even just play around with it a little bit more with making paintings with just that effect of that thin paint. But usually when I do oil paintings, I do a couple different layers. I'll start with a toned canvas, let that dry, and then I'll start with some sort of underpainting. This one doesn't have an underpainting just because I was just playing around. I wasn't really aiming for anything particular, and this is actually based off a reference photo. So I was just using the reference photo. It's from Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Jackson, Wyoming in general. And I just figured I would just go ahead and just start laying it down without really doing much of an underpainting on it. Normally, like I said, I would tone the canvas, and then I would use a really, really thin layer of paint just to sketch it out, almost like a drawing, just to get the basic values and the different shapes in there, just so you know where everything's going to go. And then once you have that rough outline in there, then you can start putting in, more detail later, different layers and thicker layers and things like that. So typically I use the process with fat over lean. So you want a really, really thin layer first, followed by progressively more, I guess, fat layers, you would say. I don't know, that sounds bad. But anyway, the idea is that you want a thin layer down first because it dries more quickly. And you want a quicker drying layer first so that you don't get cracks in your painting. If you were to put down a really thick fat layer first with lots of oil, heavy paint, and then paint a thinner layer over that, that top layer is going to dry quicker than those bottom layers, and you're going to end up getting some cracking in there. So you want to gradually build up your different layers, thinner first and then thicker over top of that. So you can do, I often do maybe 3 layers. We'll do 1 layer with an underpainting, and then get another layer with some thicker paint over top of that, get some general shapes going on in there, and then maybe you can add in some details later on. There's no real hard and fast rule. You can have as many layers as you want, really, and it's really just up to you on how detailed you want your painting, how many layers you want, how much you want to rework it. But this one was just a fun little painting that I was playing around with. It wasn't anything that I was trying to make too realistic or detailed. It was just a late night, and I felt like pulling out a canvas and just putting some paint down on canvas. So I didn't really have a lot of time to work on this. So I was just kind of working on it a little bit here and there and just putting some colors down just to get the basic idea down on the canvas. And that was really I think the main goal for this painting was just to get the shapes and the colors and the values down. And I like how it turned out. You can go look at my posts for the most recent update for this painting. I'm not entirely sure. So that loud boom was the reflector for my studio lights falling off the back of my desk. But anyway, if you want to see the most recent version of this painting, you can go check out the posts that I have. Not entirely sure if I'm going to add some more layers or not, or I'll just leave it as is. Sometimes I'm not sure if I just want to leave it as is and don't want to mess it up. Sometimes having a very simple quality to a painting is very enjoyable for me. Like even looking at this one right now, just that thin white sky and the purple mountains and a little bit of haze of the rock falling underneath there, and then the trees. You know, I actually, when I made this with the first layer, I actually kind of liked the way that it looked with just like the stained canvas. But when I looked at it the next day after everything had dried, it really kind of dulled down and everything kind of bled together, and it didn't look as cool as it did the night that I made it. So that's when I decided to add a couple more layers to it and work it up a little bit more. I think I'm going to probably do a little bit more of these types of paintings. They're a lot of fun to do. I really like these small canvases. They can rest on a shelf. They can sit on a desk. They're very, very easy to place, you know, in your home, on a nightstand. They can go just about anywhere. They ship really easily. So I like making these because I can make them quickly. I can get them out, get them to people, and they're a lot of fun to make, and then I can move on to the next one. And usually I've got some larger works that I'm working on while I make these little paintings, so they're fun to do while I'm working on some larger works that take a little bit longer. And I think that's pretty much it as far as this process goes. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about oil painting, how the process works, feel free to message me. I'm going to be posting some more videos in the future about that, and I'll also be posting more videos about acrylic painting, videos about gouache painting, about linocut printing. Linocut printing is a lot of fun. There's a lot of neat techniques to it with reductive printing and multiple block printing, the different types of inks. So I'm going to be posting more process videos so that you guys can get a little bit more insight on how I make everything, and then also too, so maybe you can just pick up some tips and ideas about how I do things and maybe apply that to your work as well. So this is the conclusion of this video. If you like it, please leave a comment. Check out my account as well for more shorter videos and posts. And again, I post daily, so I hope you guys like everything, and I'll see you next time. Bye.